Leicester goalkeeper Gordon Banks dives to catch a dog in a game against Manchester United 1965. Two girls laughing while drawing on a boy's face to make him look like Alice Cooper 1985. A 12-year-old Bill Clinton with his tenor saxophone, 1958. American Civil War veterans at Gettysburg National Military Park, 50 years after the battle, 1913. In 1922, 16-year-old Canadian Aloha Van der Velde became the first woman to circumnavigate the globe, Aloha with Soviet soldiers. Group of boys' club Little League baseball players putting on their uniforms while sitting in classroom, Manchester, New Hampshire, 1954. A female Lockheed employee works on a P-38 lighting in Burbank, California in 1944. Sophia Loren in Boy on a Dolphin, 20th Century Fox, circa 1957. In the 1930s, actress Ginger Rogers was simultaneously known as a trendsetter for glamorous tailored fashion and for influencing casual denim trends known as Western chic or cowgirl style. Nazi troops marched through the streets of Nuremberg, Germany, on their way to the massive annual rally. A child wearing a creepy clown Halloween mask. The Atlantic City Beauty Contest of 1944. Elvis Presley at age 11. Potato sack races at family parties or barbecues. A student sleeps on a raft during Student Giving Week in the United Kingdom, 1967. Student Giving Week is an annual fundraising event run by students at universities and colleges in the United Kingdom, primarily to raise money for charities. The Navy proudly draws its newest, most devastating fighter, the McDonnell F-4H Phantom II, past the newly sworn-in President Kennedy as he reviews the inaugural parade in Washington, D.C. A Japanese mother and child dressed in traditional clothing sitting amid rubble and burnt trees in Hiroshima 4 months after the atomic bomb was dropped. December 1945. Jefferson and Allen Avenues in photographic views of the Great Cyclone at St. Louis, May 27, 1896. J.P. Morgan hitting a photographer with his cane. He was self-conscious about his rosacea and hated being photographed without permission. American soldiers embrace an Englishwoman during a celebration of Germany's surrender in London on May 7, 1945. A young Candy Darling, a transgender woman, draws long hair on a photo of herself, around 1954. A federal encampment on the Pamunkey River, Cumberland Landing, Virginia, in May of 1862. Anti-war demonstrators at the Justice Department, United States, 1971. New York City, 1965. "16-year-old Canadian Aloha Vandervelde became the first woman to circumnavigate the globe, 1922. Neil Armstrong, commander of the spaceship Apollo 11, speaking to a technician during a suiting at the Kennedy Space Center, Cape Canaveral, Florida, 1969. Two stilt performers pose outside the entrance to the Big Top. Clark Gable and Marilyn saying their so longs after rapping the Misfits, 1961. The future Sir Paul McCartney with his father, 1940s. Rocky Marciano with family. Amid the wreckage at the Pentagon after the September 11 attacks, one symbol stood unscathed, the Marine Corps flag, hanging steady in a devastated office. On the night of February 1st, 1976, Elvis Presley took his private jet from Graceland to Denver and back in one night because he was craving an 8,000-calorie sandwich. Crowds celebrate the surrender of Germany on VE Day in Times Square, New York City, 1945. Two Jewish Berber girl in Morocco, 1930s. Lou Gehrig and Babe Ruth with Japanese-American baseball players, Fresno, California, 1927. Jane Fonda photographed by Angelo Frontoni, 1966. A German prisoner of war captured near Übach, Germany, wears a tag telling his captors that he has an injured back and should be handled carefully. 1 December 1944. Circa 1900, the 5 Points Gang of New York City. Elizabeth Taylor in 1963 with blonde wig. The coffin of Abdul Qadir Husseini, commander of the Arab Liberation Army's Jerusalem district, is carried on the shoulders of his bodyguards during his funeral, which was attended by more than 20,000 mourners. The King and Queen of Italy with their daughters in 1939 left to right, Victor Emmanuel III, Queen Elena, Jolanda, Mafalda, Giovanna, Maria. Cameron Diaz, 1990s. ASCs in France find German helmets useful substitutes for market bags. 2 members of the Women's Army Auxiliary Corps, France during World War I. The Shahs of Afghanistan and Iran, both named Muhammad, 1940s. Both men were the final monarchs to rule their respective countries, both reigning for almost 4 decades and being overthrown in the 1970s. White family mistaken for black in 1955 Florida because of the broad noses. Children wearing dog masks for Halloween. British suffragette Emmeline Pankhurst addressing crowd on Wall Street, New York City in 1911. Soviet soldiers inspect the downed Japanese plane. Mongolia, Khalkhin Gol, 1939. Butch Cassidy, notorious American train robber and bank robber. Mugshot from 1894, Wyoming Territorial Prison, Laramie, Wyoming. Egyptian President Anwar Sadat meets with Elizabeth Taylor during her 1979 visits to Egypt. During her visit, she would also befriend Sadat's wife Jahan. Photo taken September 17, 1979. This aerial view shows the wild rush of Mississippi River floodwater through the gap dynamited by Army engineers in Levee of Bird's Point, a new floodway of Madrid, Missouri, January 26, 1937. Volkswagen Grand Motor Show 1962, Uruguay. Captured rebels after the 2-week siege at the Grand Mosque of Mecca in 1979, in which 600 militants fought to overthrow the Saudi monarchy. People watching circus performer Irmgard Meyer suspended over Japitalna Street, Warsaw, occupied Poland, 1942. White flags on Berlin buildings after the capitulation, World War II. Barbara Bach, Richard Keel, publicity photo by Lewis Gilbert for The Spy Who Loved Me, 1977. Diane Lane, 1984. A woman with one of the earliest dishwashers. The inauguration of President James Buchanan on the east front of the Capitol, Washington, D.C. March 4, 1857. Two children wearing masks for Halloween. Warships assembled in the Hudson River, New York City for Navy Day celebrations on October 27, 1945. A child wearing a Halloween mask gets ready to collect candy. Captured prisoners of the First World War from 8 different nations at an unknown German prisoner of war camp. Yvonne De Carlo, 1940s. George Harrison was once photographed unprepared in 1965. Once he saw the photo, he loved it so much that he ordered a life-sized cardboard cutout of it to be placed by his front door. Roadies for Jimi Hendrix holding up his amps while Jimi humps them with his guitar to intentionally create feedback. 1969. (1953) press photo of stuntman Tom Steele picking up his paycheck at Hollywood, California. Fascinating family picture. Chuck Norris with his first wife Diane and their sons in 1975. Devastating flood in St. Petersburg in 1924. Marlon Brando on the set of The Wild One, 1950s. A woman is pulled from the rubble following a V-2 rocket strike during the Blitz, 1944. A literal selfie stick, 1934. Stalin in Belov prison, Baku, Azerbaijan, March 1910. Piles of German helmets surrendered after Axis surrender circa May 10, 1943. A Seneca girl named Awe Iu, meaning beautiful flower, United States, 1908. Louis Armstrong and Marlene Dietrich, Las Vegas, 1962. Flooding in Kursovoy Lane after thunderstorms Moscow, 1949. Security forces lift a Citroën 2CV from a canal in Amsterdam, 1961. Testing a jet vest, inventor Thomas More. Bardijawi men on Jairi Island, King Sound Gulf, in the north of Western Australia, 1917. The chief of the Yakima Indian Tribal Council visits his son, who was in training with an Army Armoured Unit at Yakima Firing Center, Washington, United States, 1954. United Airlines stewardess, 1970. Natalie Wood in 1942 at 4 years old. Rally in New York City, where a portrait of George Washington was placed between swastikas in 1939. It was organised by the German-American Bund, a pro-Nazi group trying to spread Nazi ideology in the United States. A fashion model wears a teeny daisy-encrusted bikini in June 1968. Yuri Gagarin, the first human to journey into outer space, waving to a crowd during a public appearance after his historic flight, April 14, 1961. United States Marine in full gear with some uplifting helmet edition, Hue, Vietnam, 1968. Gamers compete head-to-head at the Atari Space Invaders Championships in London, 1981, lining up at rows of consoles as the early video game craze draws a crowd of focused players. 1989 student protests in Tiananmen Square. Protesters create the Statue of Liberty. Jane Seymour, 1979. Senegalese World War I soldier who lost both his arms writes a letter with his new prosthetic limbs. A vocational rehabilitation school for amputees, 28 Avenue de New York, Paris, 1918. Bizarre moment of a Turkish Airlines plane hijacking in 1980. Lee Harvey Oswald's funeral on the 25th November 1963. Reporters acted as pallbearers due to there not being enough people willing to carry his casket. Bicycle track, 1901. Troops of the Shanghai SNLF 10th Battalion Haji Unit celebrate outside of the Shanghai North Railway Station during Battle of Sihang Warehouse, 1937. Demi Moore at Tower Records, 1977. She's holding a Jean-Luc Ponty LP titled Imaginary Voyage. Private T.P. Laughlin says his goodbye to his family before being sent to war. 69th Regiment, New York National Guard, 165th Infantry, 1917. TV time circa late 1960s. An American A-1 Skyraider attack aircraft drops white phosphorus bombs on North Vietnamese positions. Vietnam War, 1966. flooding from the Illinois River along the Peoria riverfront in March 1979. Pupils of Manchester Grammar School wearing owl costumes, the school emblem, 1920s. Outlaw Belle Starr after her arrest by Deputy United States Marshal Charles Barnhill in 1886. Starr's story was widely publicised at the time by the National Police Gazette, who dubbed her the Bandit Queen. Two martial art legends, 1970s. (1896) Henry Ford drives his first automobile. Jewish, Polish and Ukrainian women and children locked in a greenhouse awaiting their fate. Novograd-Volynsk, Ukraine, USSR, 1941. Miniskirts in Paris in the mid-1960s, photo by Paris Match Archive. In Sydney, Australia, nurses leave Blackfriars Depot in Chippendale during the flu epidemic in April of 1919. Kim Novak in 1957's Pal Joey. Bust of a man wearing a kanmuri, or kamuri, a crown-like hat worn by nobles and court officials, 1877, photographed by Felice Beato. Young Thomas More before and after his enrolment at the Regina Indian Industrial School in Saskatchewan, 1890s. A dog listens to the radio on headphones and smokes a pipe, June 1929. Miho Nakayama and Harrison Ford for Ad to Kirin Bear, 1995. Fred Gwynne served in the United States Navy as a radioman on a submarine chaser in the Pacific during World War II. He would later become well known as Herman Munster in 1964. Mariah Carey as a teen in the 1980s. Elvis Presley and his mother Gladys, 1956. Barricade during the Paris Commune, April 1871. The blurred figures are a result of the long exposure times required by early cameras. Mark Markov Grinberg shoots the demonstration on Red Square from the roof of Moscow Hotel, May 1st, 1940. More than 100,000 Iranian women take to the street to protest against the newly formed Islamic government's compulsory hijab ruling, March 8, 1979. John F. Kennedy being lauded by Californian voters ahead of the 1960 presidential election. Gilda Radner and Carrie Fisher in a Saturday Night Live skit, 1978. Cigarette sandwich. Italian film actress Sophia Loren in a forest near the village of Zakharkovo, Moscow region, where the Soviet-Italian film Sunflowers was filmed. Moscow region, 1969. Woe Bentley standing between two of his cars. Gdynia, December 17, 1970. Shipyard workers in Gdynia carry the body of Zbigniew Godlewski, who was shot during a strike, on a door removed from its hinges. 3 Soviet women hold guns as part of guerrilla fighting during World War II. USS Midway departs Yokosuka, Japan for the final time in August 1991. The merchant ship Altalena, chartered by the Jewish Irgun militant group to transport weapons to Israeli militants, burns off a Tel Aviv beach after being fired upon by the Haganah. June 27, 1948.